Beneath the surface of those seemingly peaceful rivers lie countless chilling secrets that have never been revealed. It is said that bizarre sacrificial rituals once took place under the veil of night, when the waters suddenly turned crimson. Like blood, strange sounds echoed from the riverbed, and shadowy figures silently vanished into the icy depths, all pointing to an ancient, terrifying, and malevolent ritual. Who was chosen? And why can their souls never find peace? In the story ahead, I will take you to Vietnam, to a river that once haunted the local people. This tale will uncover a horrifying truth about the souls that were sacrificed beneath its surface. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any chilling story like this one. Beneath the inky waters of the Tô Lịch River, horrors lurk in wait. An ancient journal, stained with blood from the Lê Dynasty, opens a gate to the dead. White-robed figures drift through the fog, whispering an unbreakable curse. Screams from the river's depths drag you into a relentless nightmare. For students trapped in Lien's wrath, will they survive? The Tô Lịch River is awakening, and it hungers for blood. Do you dare uncover its secrets, or be lost to eternal darkness? The mystery of the Tô Lịch River, a truth not everyone knows. In the heart of Hanoi, the Tô Lịch River was once a symbol of life, but has now become a dark mystery with tales of spirits, curses, and unexplained disappearances. This series follows a group of 4 university students: Minh, an amateur; historian, Lan, a spiritual enthusiast; Hùng, a technology engineer; and Ngọc, a future journalist. They accidentally discover an old journal in a decrepit house near the river, documenting a long-forgotten ritual from the Lê Dynasty. As they attempt to decipher it, they unknowingly activate an ancient curse, plunging them into a journey where they must confront vengeful spirits and the dark secrets hidden within the river. Each episode reveals a piece of history, a fragment of the curse, and a new supernatural challenge. Historical background. The Tô Lịch River dates back to the reign of King Lai Tai II. It was once a vital trade route of ancient Tang Long, but now suffers from heavy pollution, becoming the backdrop for many ghost stories and local folklore, legends. Locals speak of drowned spirits and mysterious disappearances near the river, especially around the areas of Ca Giri and Tan Xuan. Spiritual rituals for appeasing or sealing off river spirits have been historically documented in Vietnam, especially in Hanoi, where the Tô Lịch River is tied to river deity worship. Sources: based on Hanoi's folk legends, historical documents on Tang Long, and news articles covering strange incidents near the Tô Lịch River. Episode 1: The Diary Beneath the Bridge. Minh, a third-year history student, leads his group of friends to an abandoned house near the Ca Giri Bridge. The group includes Lan, a spiritual enthusiast; Hùng, a tech-savvy prankster; and Ngọc, a girl dreaming of becoming an investigative journalist. They are looking for material for a presentation on ancient Hanoi. The house, covered in dust and cobwebs, lies hidden behind thick bamboo groves, just a few meters from the Tô Lịch River. The musty air and the sound of trickling water from the river send chills down their spines. Minh discovers an old wooden chest beneath the staircase, inside of which is a leather-bound diary locked with chains engraved with strange geometric symbols. Hùng jokes that it looks like some demon worship ritual stuff. Lan, taking it more seriously, recognizes the symbols as an ancient charm she had seen in a book. The group decides to bring the diary back for research, though Minh feels a cold shiver down his spine when he touches it. That night, at the dorm, the group gathers to open the diary. Hùng uses pliers to cut the chains, but the moment the metal touches them, a strange screeching sound echoes, like wind blowing through leaves. Lon advises against opening it, sensing a bad energy from the book. However, curiosity prevails, and Minh, driven by his passion for history, convinces the group. As the chains snap, a strange scent, a mix of jasmine and damp earth, fills the room. Inside, the yellowed pages are covered in Nam script, interspersed with drawings of the Tô Lịch River and a woman in white. Lon trembles as she points to one symbol. This is a sealing charm used to trap spirits. Hùng laughs, thinking it's an ancient prank, though a flicker of concern crosses his eyes as the room lights flicker repeatedly. That night, all four of them share the same dream. A woman in white standing by the Tô Lịch River under a pale moonlight. She looks at them with hollow eyes, her lips moving as if pleading for help, but no sound comes out. Minh recognizes the location from the dream as the area near the abandoned house by Kaji. The next morning, the group gathers in shock, realizing they all had the same dream. Lon insists it's not a coincidence, but a sign of a trapped spirit. Ngọc, always the realist, suggests returning to the house to look for more clues. Hùng, still joking but a bit shaken, agrees and brings a protective talisman his mother gave him. Minh flips through more pages of the diary and realizes it was written by a spirit medium named Tran Van Khoi, who lived during the Lê Dynasty. However, most of the content is too difficult to translate. The next afternoon, the group returns to the riverside near the old house. The river is dark and foul-smelling, but today the air feels especially heavy. As Minh is taking photos of the area, Hùng suddenly slips near the riverbank as if pulled by an invisible force. Though the water is only knee-deep, he screams that something is tightening around his leg. Minh and Ngọc rush to pull him out, and a strange red mark appears on his arm, identical to the symbol in the diary. Lon panics, declaring it a sign that a curse has been triggered. The group flees in fear, but as they glance back, Ngọc is startled to see a blurry figure standing under the bridge, vanishing just moments later. Shivering, Hùng jokes, "Maybe the river ghost wants me as a friend." Back at the dorm, Minh contacts a history professor to learn more about Tran Van Khoi. The professor reveals that Khoi was a famous spirit medium in the 17th century, known for performing sealing rituals to protect Tang Long from floods. An old document mentions that he once bound a powerful spirit near the Tô Lịch River, but the ritual involved a sacrifice. The group continues translating the diary and uncovers entries about a girl named Liên, who appears to be at the center of the ritual. Lon suggests performing a small rite to calm the spirit, but Hùng objects, afraid it might make things worse. That night, while everyone is asleep, Ngọc wakes to a whisper outside her window. "Give it back. Give it back." As the group tries to translate more pages of the diary, one page suddenly bursts into flames without any fire, leaving behind a scrawled warning: "Do not seek me, unless you're ready to pay the price." That night, Ngọc wakes up in terror, seeing the woman in white standing at the foot of her bed, staring at her with hollow eyes. The whispers from the Tô Lịch River now grow louder, like a warning that the river's dark secret is only beginning to surface. Episode 2: The Cry in the Fog. Beneath the black sludge and stench of the Tô Lịch River lie ancient secrets that no one dares to disturb. After opening the old diary, the group of 4 students realizes they've unwittingly awakened a long-forgotten curse. The cries from the river now echo louder, pulling them into dark nightmares and apparitions not of this world. A woman in white, with hollow eyes, begins to hunt them, and each step in their investigation brings them closer to the edge of terror. In this episode, the group begins to uncover the dark history of the sealing ritual and face increasingly terrifying supernatural signs. Ngọc woke up at midnight, drenched in sweat, her heart pounding. The woman in white was still there, standing at the foot of her bed, with eyes as black and deep as the waters of the Tô Lịch River. When Ngọc turned on the light, the figure vanished, but in the mirror, a face stared back that wasn't hers. The next morning, she recounted the experience to the group, her voice trembling. Minh, though skeptical, couldn't explain why all 4 of them had dreamt of the same woman. Lan, drawing from her spiritual knowledge, asserted that the diary had opened a gateway to the other world. Hùng, still trying to stay unfazed, suggested they return to the National Library to research the spirit medium Tran Van Khoi. But as they left the dorm, Ngọc froze. There was a trail of water on the floor, leading from her bed to the window, as if someone had stepped in from the river. At the National Library, Minh scoured the archive room. Under the dim yellow light, he found a record from 1650 describing a sealing ritual by the Tô Lịch River intended to stop flooding. The manuscript mentioned a girl named Liên, chosen as a sacrificial offering to appease the river deity. Minh shuddered at the final line. The girl's soul never departed, eternally haunting the river. Lan, peeking over Minh's shoulder, whispered, "That's her, the woman in the dream." Though doubtful, Hùng felt a sudden heaviness in the room, like someone was watching them from the shadows. As they left the library, Minh noticed a piece of paper falling from the book. Written in ancient Nam script was a chilling line, "Liens. Blood will call for blood." The group resolved to find out more about Liên, but worry darkened their eyes. Lan suggested performing a simple ritual to soothe the spirit, based on a spiritual book she once read. In the dorm room, lit only by flickering candles, Lan drew a salt circle and placed the diary in the center. She whispered incantations, but suddenly the air turned icy cold and the candles went out. Lan collapsed, her eyes rolled back, muttering in a voice that wasn't hers, "Give it back, give it back." When she came to, she described seeing an ancient riverside village, submerged in floodwater, and a girl bound tightly, her eyes filled with hatred. Minh recognized the village from her vision. It could be an old area near Ka Ji. Though frightened, Hùng tried to joke, "Maybe we should just give the diary back to the river ghost." But his laughter stopped when the salt on the floor shifted on its own, forming the exact symbol found in the diary. Using his tech skills, Hùng brought a homemade recording device back to the Tô Lịch River. At sunset, the group stood near the Ka Ji Bridge, right where Hùng had previously been pulled into the water. The device picked up strange noises, soft sobbing mixed with the sound of flowing water. but only when they stood directly beneath the bridge. Upon playback, the group shivered. Though none of them had heard it live, the cries were clearly recorded. Ngọc, trembling, said she had felt a cold breath on the back of her neck. Minh found a symbol carved into one of the bridge pillars, identical to the one in the diary. It was covered in moss, as if it had been there for centuries. When Hùng tried to photograph it, his camera glitched, the screen flashing the blurry face of the woman in white. On the way back, a middle-aged man in a black traditional robe suddenly stepped in front of them. He warned, "Don't dig into the river's past, unless you're ready to pay the price." Before they could question him, he vanished into a dark alley. Though shaken, Lan proposed they find a small shrine near the river, one her grandmother had once told her about, a place dedicated to the river deity. They found the shrine, tiny and crumbling, hidden behind an ancient banyan tree. Inside stood a clay statue of a woman, her eyes painted bright red, giving the group chills. Minh recognized the figure as the woman from their dreams, but the statue's face appeared to smile. When Lan touched it, she heard a distant cry from nowhere and everywhere at once, as if coming from the statue itself. That night, the group returned with a heavy mood. Reviewing photos of the statue, they were horrified to see red tears streaming from its eyes, though in real life, the statue was dry. A thick fog suddenly enveloped the dormitory, and from within, it came the sound of children laughing, mingled with the flowing waters of the Tô Lịch River. Minh opened the diary again, and a new page appeared on its own. Liên is waiting at the bottom of the river. The curse had chosen them, and the river's secret was only beginning to surface. Episode 3, Liên Curse. The Tô Lịch River, like a dark vein flowing through Hanoi, whispers secrets that no one dares to face. The group of 4 students now realizes they have touched an ancient curse tied to a girl named Liên, who was sacrificed in a sealing ritual. During the Lê Dynasty, the weeping from the river has turned into screaming, and the woman in white no longer appears only in dreams. She lurks in every shadow of their lives. In this episode, the group digs deeper into Lén's history, faces more intense nightmares, and encounters a mysterious artifact, all while a growing supernatural force threatens to tear their minds apart. Minh sat in his dorm room, eyes locked on an old document from the library. Under the flickering lamp, he read the story of the flood in 1650, when an ancient village near the Tô Lịch River was submerged. The document revealed that villagers had defied the court, refusing to sacrifice a young girl named Liên to appease the river god. Eventually, the court forced their hand, and Liên was tied to a wooden stake and left in the floodwaters. Minh shuddered at the last line. The girl's spirit swore she would never forgive. Lan, sitting beside him, whispered that the statue in the shrine had eyes just like Liên in her dreams. Hùng, trying to stay tough, admitted he couldn't sleep. The crying from the river kept echoing in his mind. Ngọc, with dark circles under her eyes, said she saw the woman in white in her mirror every night, and this time, she was smiling. Using her spiritual knowledge, Lan decided to try contacting Liên again. In a dark room, she lit incense and chanted ancient spells. The air turned freezing, and suddenly Lan collapsed, eyes rolled back. Her voice no longer her own, returned. What was taken, or blood will spill. Minh pulled her out of the salt circle, but she remained unconscious. When she woke, Lon said she saw herself standing in a flooded village, with Liên tied to a stake, staring back with eyes full of hatred. Lon trembled, saying Liên didn't just want revenge. She was trying to escape the curse. Panicked, Hùng flipped through the diary and found a new page written in red ink. The sealing object lies in the shadows. The group realized they had to find the object Liên was referring to before she possessed them completely. Returning to the riverside shrine, the group searched for clues. Despite his fear, Hùng used a flashlight to check the dark corners. At the base of the clay statue, he found a broken shard of a mirror, engraved with symbols matching those in the diary. As he touched it, Hùng suddenly saw himself underwater, the river rising to his neck and a hand pulling him down. He screamed and dropped the shard, and the group rushed him outside. Minh realized the mirror might be part of the sealing object mentioned in the diary. Lon, her voice trembling, said that mirrors in ancient rituals were often gateways for spirits. When Ngọc looked into the shard, she gasped. Lén's eyes stared back at her, though no one stood behind her. The air around the shrine grew thick and oppressive, as if the statue itself was breathing. Ngọc, driven by her journalistic instincts, suggested checking if any Luera artifacts were kept in Hanoi. She contacted a friend at the National Museum of History and learned of a 17th century jade necklace excavated near the Tô Lịch River. Records stated the necklace had once been used in a sealing ritual, but little was known about it. The group visited the museum and found the necklace displayed in a glass case, etched with symbols identical to those in the diary. As they approached, Lon felt a freezing surge of energy, and the lights in the room flickered. A night guard, an elderly man with eerie eyes, told them the exhibit sometimes made knocking sounds at night, as if someone was trying to retrieve the necklace. As they left the museum, the group realized they were being followed. A shadowy figure in a black robe, similar to the man who had previously warned them, glided past in the darkness. Minh chased after him, but found only a trail of mist. Back at the dorm, Lon discovered a new red mark on her hand, identical to the one on Hung's earlier. She whispered, "Liên is marking us." The group decided they had to retrieve the necklace from the museum to break the curse. But Ngọc received a text from an unknown number. "Don't touch the necklace, unless you want the entire city to suffer." Despite the fear, Hùng analyzed the audio from his device and found that the crying now contained a cold, mocking laugh, as if Liên was toying with them. Minh opened the diary again to find a new drawing, a necklace at the bottom of the river, surrounded by invisible hands. That night, the group sneaked into the museum to take the necklace. But when they touched the glass case, a blinding light erupted from the necklace, followed by a bone-chilling scream that filled the entire room. They all collapsed, unconscious. As Lén's voice echoed in their minds, "You have chosen blood." When they awoke, the necklace was gone, and a new mark had appeared on Lén's hand, a warning that the curse was spreading, threatening to consume all of Hanoi. Episode 4: The Stolen Necklace. The Tô Lịch River, winding through Hanoi like a black serpent, is no longer just a dead stream. It has become a gateway to terrifying nightmares. The 4 students are now trapped in Lén's ancient curse, the girls sacrificed during the Lê Dynasty, where a jade necklace is the key to breaking the spell. But when they try to retrieve the necklace from the museum, it vanishes and a darker supernatural force begins hunting them. Shadows in the fog, screams from the riverbed, and bloody markings on their bodies push the group to the edge of life and death. In this episode, they face inexplicable horrors while being pursued by a mysterious group calling themselves the Curse Keepers, determined to stop them from breaking an ancient ritual. The group awoke on the museum floor, their heads spinning, ears still ringing from the necklace's terrifying scream. The display case was empty. The jade necklace had vanished, but on Lan's hand appeared a new red mark, dried like blood, shaped like the symbol from the diary. The air inside the museum was heavy, filled with the scent of damp earth and jasmine, as if the Tô Lịch River had seeped into the room. Minh checked the security cameras, but the screens only showed swirling fog and glimpses of a woman in white with her head bowed. Hùng whispered in fear, "Liên is here, right next to us." As they left, Ngọc noticed the floor was soaked, with a trail of water leading to the exit, as if the necklace had walked out on its own. Suddenly, a slow, steady knocking came from the wall, like the heartbeat of an invisible being. Back at the dorm, Minh flipped through the diary and found a new page written in ink as black as charcoal. The necklace has been stolen. The curse can no longer be sealed. He dug through historical records and discovered that in the 19th century, a group tried to steal the jade necklace from a shrine near the Tô Lịch River, leading to a mysterious fire that wiped out an entire village. Minh shivered reading that everyone who touched the necklace died within 7 days, each bearing the same blood mark now seen on Lan and Hùng. Lan, pale-faced, said she had dreamt of Liên standing in a burning village, her hands bound, screaming. They took it, though trying to stay calm. Ngọc admitted hearing wet footsteps in her room every night, like someone had just emerged from the river. The air thickened, and the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness. While returning from the library, the group was stopped by 3 figures in black traditional robes, faces covered by veils. One spoke in a voice deep and echoing, like it came from underground. "You've gone too far. Return the diary, or the river will consume the city." Before Minh could react, they vanished into the thick fog, leaving behind a black feather on the pavement. Lan recognized it as a traditional sealing talisman, used to mark enemies of spirits. Hùng, trying to joke, said, "Guess we're about to have tea with the river ghost." But his laughter died when he saw the red mark on his hand spreading, as if blood was leaking from within. They realized that Curse Keepers were real and would stop at nothing to protect Lén's ritual. Using his tech skills, Hùng hacked into an auction database and traced the necklace. It had been sold in Hanoi 10 years ago to a private collector living in an old house in the Hanoi district. The group went to the address, but the house was abandoned, its windows shattered and walls covered in moss. Inside, the air was freezing and the smell of river water was overwhelming. Ngọc found an old photo of a man holding the jade necklace, but his face had been blurred, as if someone had tried to erase him. Suddenly, a shrill scream rang out from upstairs, and the floor shook violently. Minh pulled the group outside, but as they looked back, they saw a bloody handprint on the door with the words, "Don't look for me." Hùng checked his recorder and heard Lén's voice screaming, "Blood for blood." The group searched the abandoned house and found signs of an old fire. scorched walls, and a lingering smell of smoke. Under the floorboards, Minh found a burnt diary page. The necklace is the key, but blood is the price. Lon, shaking, said she felt Lean's presence growing closer, as if her spirit was clinging to them. Suddenly, the room's temperature dropped, and water stains began to appear on the walls, forming the face of a girl with hollow eyes. Hung screamed when he saw his reflection in the window. Only it wasn't him, but Lean, with soaked hair and a twisted smile. They ran outside, but when they turned back, the house blazed with unnatural light, though there were no real flames. Lean's scream echoed through the air, merging with the sound of the Tô Lịch River, as if the river itself had come alive. In their panic, Minh found one last scrap of paper in the house. It read, "When the necklace is returned, the river will awaken." That night, the Tô Lịch River began turning blood red, with dead fish floating to the surface. The group received a message from an unknown number. "The necklace lies where you dare not go." Looking out the window, they saw a woman in white standing beneath a streetlight, arms raised, beckoning them toward the river. Lean's curse was no longer just hunting them. It was pulling all of Hanoi into her nightmare. Episode 5: The River Awakens. The Tô Lịch River, like a living entity, begins to unleash its ancient rage. The water turns blood red, dead fish float to the surface, and screams echo from its depths each night. The 4 students are swept deeper into Lean's curse, the girl sacrificed during the Lê Dynasty. The jade necklace, once the key to breaking the curse, has vanished, and the terrifying phenomena intensify. Ghostly figures lurking in the mist, bloody marks appearing on their bodies, and dreams that drag them into the river's nightmare. In this episode, the group races to locate the necklace, confronting a supernatural force more powerful than ever, as the Tô Lịch River seems to rise to collect its blood debt. Minh, with trembling hands, reread the scrap of paper found in the abandoned house. When the necklace is returned, the river will awaken. Digging further into the diary, he discovered a new line written in blood-red ink. "The necklace lies where the river god dwells." Lon, trusting her spiritual instincts, declared that it could only mean an ancient temple near the river, one used for sealing rituals. They journeyed to Liên Temple, a small abandoned shrine near Kajiai. Under the pale moonlight, the temple loomed like a giant phantom, its moss-covered walls heavy with the stench of river water. Inside, Hum flinched at the sound of running water. Despite the temple being hundreds of meters from the river, Ngọc, peering into the shadowy courtyard, spotted a wet trail leading inward, as if someone had just walked in from the river, leaving soaked footprints behind. That night, Lon once again dreamed of Lean, but this time, the girl didn't just stand and stare. Lean pulled her into the blood-red river, her ice-cold hands tightening around Lan's neck, whispering, "Return it wrong, and the whole city will drown." When she awoke, Lon found red handprints on her neck, as if truly strangled. She described the dream, insisting the necklace wasn't just a sealing object, it was the anchor for Lean's soul. If returned incorrectly, the curse would spread, not just to them, but all of Hanoi. Minh, though terrified, tried to reason that the ritual had to be performed exactly as the medium Tran Van Khoi had once done. Hung examined his recording device and found that Lean's cries were now joined by dozens of other screaming voices, like an army of souls rising from the river. The room's air grew heavier, and the lights flickered, leaving behind cold, suffocating darkness. At Linung Temple, the group discovered a hidden passage beneath the stone floor, sealed with a carving matching the diary's symbols. Though frightened, Hung led the way with a flashlight, but the light dimmed, swallowed by the darkness. As they descended, he felt an invisible hand brush his shoulder, followed by a horrifying screech, like claws scraping stone. A black shadow darted past, shoving Hung down the stairs. Min pulled him back up, only to find another red wound on his arm, as if clawed. Lon whispered, trembling, "It's not just Lean. There's something else down here." Ngọc found an old talisman on the floor, but the moment she touched it, she heard the echo of children laughing, and the charm burst into flames in her palm. They realized this underground chamber wasn't just a hiding place. It was a tomb for trapped souls. Ngọc contacted an elderly historian, Mr. Tom, who had studied sealing rituals in ancient Tang law. In a shaky voice, he explained that Linung Temple had once been a major spiritual center where the medium Tran Van Khoi performed the final ritual to seal Lean. He warned them, the jade necklace wasn't merely a relic. It was a gate keeping Lean and the other spirits locked away. If mishandled, it would unleash a storm of vengeance. When they asked how to return the necklace, Mr. Tom abruptly stopped, whispering, "They're listening." Then he hung up. That night, Ngọc received a message from his number. Only one sentence, "Don't go into the crypt." But when she called back, she learned that Mr. Tom had died hours earlier of a mysterious heart attack. The group returned to the temple, determined to find the necklace. Underground, the air was freezing and red water trickled down the stone walls like blood. Min found a small altar carved with the image of a bound girl, bearing the same symbols as Lon and Hung's marks. Suddenly, water flooded the crypt, despite no entrance from the river. Lon screamed as ghostly figures emerged from the walls, distorted faces and skeletal arms reaching for them. Hung tried to run, but his feet were stuck to the floor and a voice echoed in his mind, "Return it, or stay forever." In a panic, Ngọc found a narrow crack in the stone from which faint light seeped. As she touched it, a scream tore through the chamber, knocking them to the ground. When they looked up, the flood had stopped, but a new blood symbol had appeared on the wall, pointing toward the river. As they climbed out of the crypt, a freezing wind blew past them, carrying the screams of countless souls, as if the river itself was wailing. Min opened the diary to a new page, which now showed the jade necklace lying at the river's bottom, surrounded by invisible hands. Lon, eyes wide in terror, whispered, "Lean doesn't want us to return it. She wants us to die." That night, they received a message from an unknown number. The crypt is the beginning. The river is the end. Under the moonlight, the Tô Lịch River glowed blood red, ready to swallow anyone who dared approach. Episode 6: The Crypt Beneath the Temple. The Tô Lịch River, like a beast awakened, screams through its blood-red waters, pulling the four students into the heart of the nightmare. The hidden crypt beneath Linung Temple reveals a horrifying truth. Not only Lean, but dozens of other souls have been trapped in an ancient curse. The jade necklace, the key to undoing it, lies somewhere in the darkness of the underground chamber. But with every step the group takes, they awaken even more terrifying entities. Distorted figures, screams from deep below, and spreading blood. Marks on their bodies push the group toward madness. In this episode, they face enraged spirits and a mysterious faction, the Curse Keepers, determined to stop them from breaking the ritual, while the Tô Lịch River watches, hungry for blood. The group returns to the crypt beneath Liên Temple, flashlight trembling in Hung's hand. In the weak light, they discover ancient murals carved into the stone, depicting a horrifying ritual, a girl bound to a stake, surrounded by twisted figures holding jade necklaces. Minh recognizes the girl as Liên, but the other figures chill him. They don't look human, more like entities from another realm. Water drips from the wall, red as blood, and a low screech echoes like fingernails. Scratching stone, Lawn, her eyes glazed, whispers. They didn't just seal Liên, they sealed an army of souls. Suddenly, one mural trembles, and a bony hand reaches out, grabbing Ngok's wrist. She screams and yanks back, but a red burn mark remains, shaped like the symbol from the diary. Lawn, drawing on her spiritual knowledge, tries to stop the group from going deeper, but suddenly collapses, eyes rolled back. A voice not her own growls through her lips. "You've opened the gate, all shall pay." Minh quickly draws a salt circle around her, chanting a passage from the diary. The air turns freezing, and the darkness seems to breathe, swallowing the flashlight beam. When Lawn awakens, she describes a vision of an army of souls, not just Liên, but many sacrificed victims, trapped in the crypt for centuries. She trembles. They're furious, and they want us to stay here forever. Hung checks his arm. The red mark now reaches his elbow, like blood leaking from within. A scream echoes from deep within the earth, freezing them in place. Despite his fear, Hung finds a strange device, a stone circle carved with ancient symbols, surrounded by shards of broken jade. He suspects it was used to complete the sealing ritual, connected to the jade necklace. As he touches it, he sees a vision of himself standing in a blood-red river, dozens of invisible hands pulling him down. He screams, dropping the flashlight, plunging the group into darkness. Minh finds a torn diary page nearby, which reads, "The jade necklace is the key, but only blood opens the gate." Ngok realizes the device doesn't just lock spirits, it can release them. Suddenly, water begins flooding the chamber, rising faster than before. A child's laugh echoes, rising eerily from beneath the floor. As they flee the crypt, a man in a long black robe blocks their path, face hidden beneath a cloth. His voice is deep, like it comes from the underworld. "You've awakened them. The necklace is not yours." Ngok, with her reporter's instinct, shouts, "Who are you?" But the man only leaves behind a scorched talisman and disappears into the mist. Minh recognizes the symbol on the charm. It matches the mural's markings. Lawn confirms they are the descendants of those who performed the original sealing, sworn to guard the curse. That night, Hung sees his reflection in the mirror, but it's no longer his face. It's a creature with glowing red eyes and a twisted smile. He smashes the mirror, but the shards reassemble themselves into Lien's face, whispering, blood for blood. Deep in the crypt, the group finds a crack in the stone wall, emitting a faint light. Minh, hands trembling, reaches in and feels a wave of icy energy. Inside is the jade necklace, gleaming like frozen blood. When Lan touches it, she screams, and the group is pulled into a vision. An ancient village submerged in floodwater, with Liên bound to a stake, her eyes blazing with hatred. Surrounding her are dozens of screaming figures. They see Tran Van, Khoi, the spirit medium, holding the necklace and performing the ritual, his hand bleeding into the river. When they awake, they're still in the crypt, but the necklace is gone. Blood-red water floods the chamber, dragging them down. A scream tears through the air. "You will stay with me." The group escapes the crypt in panic, but the screams of dozens of spirits still echo, like the river itself has risen. Minh opens the diary to a new page. Liên, arms raised, commanding the Tô Lịch River. Lan, in a dazed voice, whispers. Liên doesn't want the curse broken, she wants revenge. That night, the group receives a message from an unknown number. Return the necklace properly, or Hanoi will drown. Under the moonlight, the Tô Lịch River glows blood, red, and a woman in white stands on the water, beckoning them into the final nightmare. Episode 7. The Curse Lifted. The Tô Lịch River is now a living nightmare, screaming with blood-red waters and shadowy figures lurking in the mist. For university students stand at the final threshold of the curse of Liên, the girl sacrificed during the Lê Dynasty. The jade bracelet, the key to breaking the curse, has appeared and vanished, leaving trails of spreading blood on their bodies and screams rising from beneath the earth. In this final episode, the group must perform the last ritual by the river, facing Liên and her vengeful army of spirits, while the Curse Keeper does everything to stop them. Each step is a battle between life and death, as the Tô Lịch River demands a terrifying price to end the curse. With dark circles under his eyes, Minh flipped through the diary under a dim dorm light. A new page revealed details of the ritual by Shaman Tran Van Khoi. Place the jade bracelet on an altar by the Tô Lịch River, recite a chant, and offer the blood of the performer to break the curse. Minh shuddered upon reading that the ritual required the blood of the living to replace Lén's. Lan, with red marks spreading to her neck, whispered that the ritual must be performed precisely, or Liên would drag all of Hanoi into the river. Hùng checked the recording device and found the screams had become a horrifying chorus, as if hundreds of souls were rising. Ngọc, despite her fear, suggested returning to Liên Temple to find the bracelet, but when she opened the door, a trail of blood-red water led outside, as if the Tô Lịch was calling to them. With her spiritual instincts, Lan tried to communicate with Liên through a small ritual. In the dark room, she lit incense and read a chant from the diary. Suddenly, she collapsed, her eyes rolled back, and a chilling voice echoed, "I don't want revenge. I want freedom." When she came to, Lan said that Liên wasn't just a victim. She had been forced to lock other entities inside the chamber. Crying, Lan said Liên wanted release, but if the ritual failed, an army of spirits would be unleashed. Minh realized the ritual wasn't just to free Liên, but to prevent the others from escaping. Hùng, red marks now reaching his chest, whispered, "If it needs blood, I'll give mine." but fear filled his eyes as they heard water flowing beneath the floor, even though they were on the third floor. Hùng built an energy amplifier from an old talisman, hoping to boost the ritual's power. But as the group returned to Liên Temple, they were ambushed by the Curse Keeper. 3 figures in black appeared, one with a knife etched. In symbols lunged at Hùng. Minh shoved him aside, but the blade sliced Min's arm, his blood mixing with the red water on the floor. The leader roared, "The curse must be preserved, for our ancestors' sins." In a panic, knocked through a stone, forcing the attackers to retreat temporarily. But when they checked Hung's device, it was destroyed, and a new talisman had appeared, engraved with, "Your blood will be the price." The air in the temple grew suffocating, and screams echoed from below, as if Liên was shrieking from the earth's depths. With her journalistic instincts, Ngọc confronted the leader of the Curse Keeper in a dark alley near the temple. He revealed their ancestors had performed the original sacrifice on Liên, but had stolen the bracelet to preserve the curse's power, trapping Liên and other souls in limbo. He warned that breaking the curse would expose their forefathers' sins, and all of Hanoi would suffer. Despite her fear, Ngọc recorded the confession, but as she fled, her reflection in a puddle wasn't hers. It was Liên, with glowing red eyes. Suddenly, an invisible hand yanked her down, and she blacked out. When she awoke, she was by the Tô Lịch River, holding a shard of broken mirror, reflecting Lén's distorted face. The group gathered by the Tô Lịch River under a blood-red moon. Minh set up a small altar, placing the mirror shard and old talisman on it, and read the chant from the diary. Lon, voice trembling, pleaded for Liên to accept the ritual. Suddenly, the jade bracelet appeared on the altar, as if summoned from the depths. Hùng, red marks now covering his chest, cut his hand, letting blood drip onto the bracelet. The river boiled, and a figure in white emerged. Liên, no longer enraged, but sorrowful. She whispered, "Thank you," and vanished. Instantly, the river calmed, the screams ceased, and a warm breeze brushed over them. But when Minh checked the diary, a final page slipped out, reading, "There is another curse, deeper beneath the river." The Tô Lịch River returned to silence. No more whispers or figures in white. The group, though exhausted, felt relief as Lén's curse was lifted. But as they left the riverbank, Ngọc glanced down and recoiled at the sight of another face, not Lén's, but a pale-eyed entity with a crooked smile. Minh clutched the diary tightly, knowing the river's secrets weren't truly over. A cold wind blew, carrying a new whisper. "This time, you'll pay a far greater price." If what you just heard sent chills down your spine, remember this: countless secrets still lie buried beneath the river. The souls that were sacrificed may still drift silently in the dark waters, waiting for someone to break the ancient curse. Do you believe in coincidence or in karma? The answer may lie in the stories yet to come. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to keep exploring more spine-chilling mysteries with us. See you in the next night, if you dare to listen.